Hey everybody, welcome to the March koha-US cataloging special interest group. I have a few things, a few resources I'm going to share, and we've had a few topics submitted. Fred gets a gold star for attending since he's on vacation.
I've actually been at home all week cleaning up the basement and
I can do that.
So we're helping you procrastinate?
Yeah.
All right. So the first one I've put into the chat is a pretty new initiative for open cataloging rules. It's opencataloggingrules.org, and the website right now has a little information on it and says it's a temporary website, but sign up for the Google group to stay in touch. And so I figured all of we open community catalogers would be interested in that. And the next resource I'm putting into the chat is a recording of a very good webinar that I attended on cataloging objects, and they cover things like all kinds of objects. No spoilers. The recording is only going to be up. Hey, yes, like the Avenging Chicken, Fred. The recording is only going to be up until mid-August. So view often and view early. And there was another site. Let's see. I think the slides are at that site too. Let me double check that. Yes, there's a docx file with the chat. And I believe the chat has the link to the slides. Let's see. No, that might be a different link. See, yeah, here we go. Let me grab that link.
How long is the webinar?
It's messy link. Sorry about that. It should work though. If it doesn't work, let me know. The webinar was a bit long, and it goes in sections. So feel free to fast forward. I mean, if they're talking about objects you're not interested in, click ahead. Okay. Or just put it on and listen until you're interested, and then go, oh, that sounds interesting, back it up. That's okay. That website doesn't load. Let me get it. Let me get a cleaner URL for you. Thank you, Bruce. While there we go. This is a cleaner URL.
It sounds like you've got the same security protections we have.
So secure.
They don't keep out hackers, but they prevent all your patrons from getting in. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is that I am going to be on vacation for our next cataloging SIG on April 7th, and I'm probably going to be driving, so I won't be able to host. So if anybody is interested in hosting, please let me know. I'd really appreciate it. It would be this same time on Thursday, April 7th. And the first thing that was submitted was that Fred had a question about additional information in name fields.
Yes. This has to do with the author's catalog, so I'm using some non-standard tags. Heather, do you have your pearls?
I have a nice shell, and
okay.
I have some mother of pearl earrings, so I'm prepared to clutch.
Clutch, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Like most of what I do with Koha, when I started the author's catalog, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I did what worked at the time. And I set up, let me back up. What I'm doing with the author's catalog, just in case you haven't heard this before, I'm taking Medline records, which are citations from the National Library of Medicine that feature MedStar authors, I'm editing those so the authors are, the MedStar authors with their full name are in the 100 field. The all the authors, which consists of last name, first and middle initial, are in the 190. And then mine has a 190 and an 857 and an 858, but never mind that. And then the institution is in the 651, and the department within the institution, which is optional, is in the 656. And the mesh terms, medical subject heading, are in the 650. Now, what we'd like to do now is attach a program and its status to a particular author. In this case, we want to have our residents and fellows with a distinct tag attached to their names. So for example, Avenging Chicken is doing a fellowship in pulmonary critical care at Washington Hospital Center. I'm not sure yet if it's going to be one tag for fellowship or one tag for fellowship in critical care, and then another tag for Washington Hospital Center. Attached and searchable by the program, because we want to promote our residents. Say, yeah, while they were here, this resident did these papers, and this program produced these papers with these residents and fellows. So what's the best way to do that? And
Well,
a fresh piece of paper.
Okay, a very standard approach. I would put the program in a 710 field for, a corporate author for the program, the hospital program, probably some sort of combination of subfield A, hospital, subfield B program. And I mean, okay, get ready to clutch your pearls, everyone. I would kind of hack the subfield E of the name field of like 100 or 700. That subfield E is where we usually put editor or author, since RDA came around. Why not kind of hack it and put resident or fellow for their role?
So the 100E would be pulmonary critical care fellowship, and
or pulmonary critical care fellow, and then subfield 10 for awesomest hospital ever, period, subfield B, pulmonary and critical care program or pulmonary and critical care department.
Yeah, could I have all this in the, let's say, 100?
That would be a little messy because you'd be trying to put all into one field two entities, the corporate entity and the human being. Although you could have pulmonary and critical care fellow in the subfield E, so those words would be there if somebody did the authorship search.
Would the use of author authorities help clean up the records in some way, or offer cross, like the fellows be in the, I don't remember my fields and my authorities well enough to.
Yeah, the authority file ignores those subfield E roles because a human being can have different roles. A human being can be an editor, they could be a fellow, they could be, and you might have the same human being coming back as a fellow, as a resident, as a doctor, as a surgeon, as a post-grad researcher.
Okay.
Yeah, I just ran across a picture of someone who graduated in, I think, 2002 or 2012. Oh, he's a pulmonary care. Actually board certified in 4 fields. He looks so young then.
Right. I can imagine how to create a 190 field and populate it, but what I don't know is how that gets indexed.
Ideally, the 190 doesn't get indexed. I think it may, because we're not interested in them.
Okay, but in my
And that-
situation, I might be interested in some of the co-authors, and trying to find them would require indexing.
I think
Yeah.
you'd want to put the co-authors in 700s, which are a standard indexed field. 190 is a non-standard field, and you could be more creative with your indexing with Elasticsearch than Zebra, but 100s and 700s, 110s, 710s are
700
certainly
right
always.
now. I'm trying to see what the 190 buys me. It looks like it buys me anonymity.
Yeah, the 190 is a locally defined non-standard thing. You'd also,
Yeah.
on your indexing, have to be sure that those 100 or 700 subfield E's were keyword indexed.
Yeah.
Okay, would there be a case, let's say you have, let's see, Fred King, MSLS, Catholic University of America in the 100 field? Could something with that work, and it would be
Yeah, you could use the
indexed?
field.
Which
Yeah,
one?
I'll put something in the
Right.
chat.
Okay,
Again, this is a little, the subfield C I'm putting in the chat is going to be a little wacko, but not terribly.
from what I've done to the mark structure, I don't think it really matters how terrible it is, as long as it works.
And your subfield C is authority
That is-
controlled.
Okay.
And that actually works pretty well. I'm using it for royal noble titles, but it certainly can apply to job titles just as easily.
Yeah. When you have noble titles, do you add on a country or where they're noble in the same 100?
It depends. The problem is that many people are king of this and emperor of that and duke of something else. And so that's a detail that comes up in the 700s.
Okay.
I'll see if I can pull up a Library of Congress authority record that has something like that.
While she's doing that, hi Noah, glad you could join us.
Thanks, glad to be here.
Yeah, hi. Well, did you have anything while I'm digging up some examples of subfield Cs? Did you have anything else on this, Fred, or shall we go to?
I just wanted to know if it was possible before I spent a week trying to do it. Sounds like it is.
Anything's possible.
Where there's a koa, there's a way.
That's right. Well, while I'm digging up things, Bruce mentioned that he had discovered a new cataloging thing.
Well, I've still got a problem with assigning the wrong sequential number for biblios, but in the process of hacking into that, I find that on the expert cataloging field, there's another option in addition to going back to basic, which is to disable the automatic function. And right now, there's a half dozen fields that pop up with pre-formatted things like 008 gives you a whole screen full of things you can fill in. But you can also turn all those off and just create those fields manually. I would show you, but every time I try and share a screen, it crashes the system. But if you pull up a biblio, go to expert editing mode, look under the settings, and you'll find there's another line item there that gets rid of all the automatic stuff. It could be useful. I mean, it makes it easier for me to manually enter biblio numbers, but that's a workaround.
Yeah.
And this is inside the editor itself?
Yep. In the expert editor, pull down the settings tab like you were going back to the basic editor, and you'd see another line there. Who's I overslept. I didn't get it set up today to show you. Let me see if I can pull it up right now.
Okay, I have the heading of a queen here.
Yeah, Queen Consort of Richard II is the sort of thing I see a lot of. But let me pull up a record at random here.
You have multiple C fields.
No, I don't.
You generally don't. You generally just put everything, like if you really wanted to go for like, Elizabeth, Queen,
Oh, Lord.
Empress of the world, comma,
Yeah.
Defender of the Faith, comma,
Queen Victoria
Duchess.
has hundreds of titles. It's a really scary thought. Better
Yeah,
I myself. Anyway, if you pull up settings, it'll say the second item is show fields verbatim. And if you click on that, all those automatic boxes vanish.
Hmm.
Okay, let me see if I can get our Koha up and share my screen then. All right. Can folks see my Koha?
Right.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I am going to find a record. I'm going to go into edit record. Okay, so it's this settings tab you're talking
And
about.
show fields verbatim, the second item there, click on that, and those little boxes go away.
Ooh, neato.
Yeah. And you can just show helpers to bring them back.
Oh, that's spiffy.
Yeah, then there may be times others find it useful. It's a
Yeah.
small thing, but it's about all I've got this month.
That's a handy thing. Thank you, Bruce. Our next item was Lauren has discovered some neato things she'd like to share.
So I have been working with Marcedit, trying to get my German files into Marcedit, and I am trying to get a sample pulled up so I can show you how to do. You know what? I need to find something that, hold on, wait a minute.
Take your
Need to find
time.
That has, that actually has basically, this hasn't been done to it yet. Okay.
I'm looking for Marcedit resources and links while you're talking. I'll put
Okay.
it in the chat.
And that raises another question I have, but you can wait.
Okay. So I discovered this handy dandy move subfield 260C to the 008.
Ooh.
And let me put it in the chat. So you copy this. Oh, and I gotta remember, edit subfields. I've only done this a couple of times, so I'm still learning how to do this. So 260C, replace with, move to subfield. And now all that data from the 260C should be in the 008s. What I still haven't figured out is if there is no 008, how to add it. And then the other thing I discovered was, and I could never, here we go. Select records for, oh, it's wanting me to save. Okay. Let's see. A import file does not match export selected. Now the fun thing is if I still have a lot of other 100s, I will have to do this again. But I now have the records that don't have a 100, so the 245 should be indicators. Change 10 to 00.
Right.
And then I can't remember how many. Can't remember all my indicators. So you can do that. And then whenever you save it, it puts it back into the original. So now when you open it up again, it's all there, and you can do this again with the 0. So the next one, what I did was when I went, I can never remember where select files to edit. I want 110, import file. And so now I have to select, there isn't a select. I haven't figured out how to select the ones with names. But when you've selected all your 110s, you can export those and tell the indicators they need to be 1, 0 instead of 0, 0. And with your 130s and your 111s. So that's a quick way of cleaning up your 245 indicators, which would take me a really long time to do that manually.
Definitely.
So, and I'll have to find, I can't remember which website I found how to do the indicator thing. However, the Illinois Library has one of the best print step-by-step how-tos for Marcedit. That's usually where I find a lot in addition to the Marcedit website. They even have some videos that I need to watch on how to do some more advanced. They're very good at, this is where you start, and this is the advanced, which I find helpful, because every now and then I'll go to the Marcedit site and I'm like, okay, this is a little bit too advanced for me. I don't know what you're telling me to do.
Exactly. I need something a little, back it up.
I love that you're able to do this, but I don't understand what you're telling me for me to be able to do what you're telling me to do. So that's all I have for now.
That's all so terrific, Lauren. Thank you.
When they want to add a 260C to be moved, does it have to have all the same data? Will each one have the same value? Because you could do that with just add field.
So like, if you have 5 records and they all have 5 different dates in the two,
Okay.
each 008 will have a different date. I even tried it. It will also do it for pretty much any field, because I experiment. We have a lot of language. And so our 008 has English or undetermined. And I'm like, all right, if there's an actual language code in the 041, it would be very helpful if it were in the 008. And it will, you use the same everything and it will move. What I haven't, that one, it works sometimes and it doesn't work other times. So I'm not sure, because I'm not sure if it's because we have some records that would have a 041 with no indicators, which would go in the 008. And we have 041s with the second indicator 7, because it's the ISO 3 code instead of the ISO 2. Because we recognize all 7,000 languages instead of just the 2,000, I think, the Library of Congress. And we're hoping to get an Australian library. The Pacific's the worst. They have 999 languages in a collective code. I'm like, how is that helpful? Just put undetermined in the 008 if you gotta use the library.
Well, I guess though, if you're a speaker of one of those languages,
You use a 041. Because then you can use, because every language has a code. Dialects don't have a code yet.
yeah, and I guess it depends too on if you're sharing records, and then you want to be very standard in your 008 and very descriptive in your 041 and your language notes.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with between English and American English. There are some things for which we have to translate the British English into American so that things will match up. Otherwise, color and color are 2 different entries.
Mm-hmm.
International English is such an interesting thing.
No, it's a lot of interesting things. And part of my problem is one of the languages I deal with is Norman French, which is used for English heraldry, and looks like nothing else on earth. It's actually a pigeon between English and ancient French.
Let's see. Yeah, Sister Eglantine. Right?
Yeah.
For the French of Paris was to her unknown. Okay, actually now I have 2 questions. But if there's something else or pressing, go ahead, Heather.
That's all that was submitted ahead of time. So
Okay.
yeah, Fred, go ahead.
Do you know of a way of copying the 099A field to the 952P field. Again, this is the author's catalog. So will Marcedit do something like that?
We'll do that.
Yeah, I've
It
seen it on the
should.
copy. Right now, I have it set up on my keypad. And I just have to do it once for every record. And okay, last week I uploaded about 400 records, but that wasn't that bad.
I think too, that might be the sort of thing that you might want to look at the mark modification templates to apply upon import.
Okay.
I just put a site in the chat that shows you how to append, move, prepend, and change. I had to look up append and put it before or after something, move it or change it. That's what.
Yeah.
Like, what's append and prepend mean?
And just to remind, the 952 subfield P is usually the barcode.
Yeah.
Okay. And then 099 is usually a local call number field.
Yes. And it's actually the PMID, the PubMed ID, which is a unique identifier for each Medline citation. So if you know the citation number, PMID is so much easier to call up a record.
That's a very interesting application of those fields, Fred.
When you say very interesting, do you mean we need to excuse you so you can get your pearls?
This time we mean good.
Oh, okay, good.
No, I think it could be really useful. For example, if someone had museum objects with a unique, accession or object identifiers.
Yep.
And they're not going to be slapping barcodes on those things.
That's not like an entirely bad idea, actually, but
yeah.
Having worked in a museum, I'm thinking, how am I going to put those wide and narrow stripes on with a quill pen?
Well, there used to be a program called Barcodes on the Fly. So if you could get a barcode on a fly, then And another question, which I should have asked about 13 years ago. No, wait a minute. 9 years ago, excuse me. 2013.
Better late than never. Go ahead, Brad.
When I'm uploading records, mark records in brackets turn into that little black box with a question mark in it.
Oh, okay.
And I know it's UTF-8 versus whatever it is I'm using.
Mark 8, yeah.
Mark 8, yeah, you've got a mark encoding issue. I think there was actually just a Bywater blog post about that. That typically happens with diacritics.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, here we go.
You need the UTF-8 for the diagram. I've learned this the hard way. You have to have a UTF-8 if you're using languages like Thai. It won't work.
Or even German, even French.
I had a lot of
Spanish
from this before I realized that the Z3950s would be set to different codings. And now it all comes in right.
Yeah, okay. If I change everything to UTF-8, or if I change the settings, we'll do retrospective.
Fred, if you're pulling in things out of Z3950, you go to your 3950 index and tell it this source uses whatever they use, and it'll translate.
Mostly I get them from OCLC or do it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to overlay your records with the newly encoded. Yeah.
There's no way to go back and fix it that I've found yet.
Oh well.
Probably there's a way to do it in Marcedit, but.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I usually take out uh, the German and French, etc. 650s because we don't really need them. I just have to worry about the names and copyright.
Or the diacritics in the title.
Yeah.
Got a lot of that, and the names in many cases.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's getting more prevalent as our world shrinks.
Yes. So far, I don't think too many of our authors have diacritics. Give it a year or two.
The publications I'm digitizing, the early editions were done on a typewriter, and all the diacriticals were penned in afterwards.
Oh,
those
poor
don't
person.
scan well.
No, OCR doesn't know what to do with that.
It can't handle an umlaut.
No.
Yeah.
A lot of our hand typed cards too had they had gone back and used quotations for the umlaut, so the characters even kind of obscured. And it's,
Yeah.
Ooh.
There are all kinds of cheats that we hope never to see again.
Mhm.
But when you got 50-year-old magazines,
Well, did you have any other questions, Fred?
No, just a comment. 50-year-old magazines aren't that old.
Yeah.
how's your 50-year-old computer doing?
Yeah.
I just had to retire my firewall. It was 26.
Actually, the back of my van is filled with old computers
Yeah.
I need to take somewhere.
That's my new project, is getting rid of all the old 32-bit machines and driving through nice neighborhoods on trash day to pick up newer ones.
Well, does
Yeah.
anybody else have anything cataloging related or bibliographic or item record related? Not sure if it is related, but it's still a question.
Well, I've been struggling with adding local cover images, which I've got okay. But what I'm trying to do now is add store images on the server that aren't covers. And I was going to do something about that, but then other stuff came up at work, and you know how that goes.
I've never been able to figure out how to use local cover images to replace or displace Amazon images.
Oh, I was just looking at that. I think there's a way.
From what I've been reading, it looks like you pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Somebody else had a technique that came up with both images, which is not helpful.
I think I think Fred, you're right. There's been something on it, and I don't remember if it was jQuery or CSS or.
Interesting question, Leanne.
Yeah, Leanne has a question about More 856 with IMDB links and movie records. Is this becoming more standard in use of linked data? Yeah, I've been seeing more links to other information for all formats. For example, some Library of Congress records, you'll see links to the publisher information about the title. So it's up to you and your collection and what you like to do. We don't really link to IMDB or publisher information because those links could be ephemeral, and we just don't have the staff to keep them updated to fight any link rot. But we will, we are using the feature in Koha for linking and loading YouTube videos if they're a very stable channel.
I'm concerned about 886, or I mean 856, because that's an electronic access port. And if I had the movie online, I'd use that. But I think IMDb is more in the category of reviews or possibly additional information. I'm trying to find an example where Library of Congress has table of contents information and things like that. That might be a more judicious place for the IMDb link. You see
Yeah,
that?
I
Yeah.
see a lot of Library of Congress links, yeah, table of contents, publisher description in medical textbooks. I actually take them out because it's not something I think our audience could use. I think they
We
might
have
be
a
confused.
question. Yeah, we have a question too saying, in general, is IMDB considered to be a high quality resource? Well, and IMDB is an Amazon product. So I guess it comes down to you'd have to evaluate that for yourself. We're a federal library, so we are prohibited from linking to, it could be, private corporations, because we can't recommend specific products or services. So we shy away from links to commercial products like that. When it comes to something like a YouTube channel, because again, that's a private company, we sort of evaluate who's the provider of that channel using the YouTube service. And we have another Christie saying, I'm in acquisitions. I usually import full marks to overlay on order records. Does anyone know of a way to overlay only on order records when importing a batch of full marks? We're having an issue when I import a batch. It overlays all records, not just on order records. I think that depends on the field that you're using for overlay. When I overlay a record, I'm using a 999 subfield C to the koha bibliographic record numbers. That's very controlled, but that's a very labor intensive field.
So Heather, my question is, I'm a very, I don't know a lot about cataloging, so much of this is over my head. And I've been working with Bywater on this as well as my vendors. So I thought I'd throw it out to this cataloging group because you guys seem really knowledgeable. So I've tried to write different record mounting rules to try to find like a link that, oh, these records are coming in. Let's just look at this field. And if it matches, we can overlay. The problem is in Koha, I think, is the item field when I'm importing, it says replace item only if matching record is found, where I need that field to say replace all items, because what I'm trying to do is I'm overlaying all the item records themselves with the barcodes on the full marks that are coming in, but I don't want to overlay like the bib records, so to speak. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And you've just kind of gone over my head because I don't do a lot of item record overlay and we don't use order records. So we're all of us are out of our depth on something. Does anybody have some information?
Okay, what field indicates that it's an on order record?
That's a 940. They usually come in as 946s. And our full records come in as 952s. Does that make sense?
Yes. So you or do you want to just wipe out the 946 field then?
Well, yeah, usually that's perfect. When the 952s come in, it just overlays, all the quote on order records. But what happens is we have some in-house catalogers, and we also share our all of our I can't think of what we share all of our bib records and our inventory with another library. So they're getting upset saying we're doing all this work, we're cataloging, and then you're coming in overlaying with a vendor record and you're taking important fields out.
Okay. You can use Marcedit to delete all the 946s. Would that help or not?
So if I'm importing the full marks, they're all 952s. So they're automatically overlaying 946s.
Okay. I didn't know they did that. All right.
So I was trying to look again for one indicator that, and what I did is I created a matching rule saying, oh, if 952, I forget which field it was a very generic field, matches, then I was hoping don't overlay. And I could do that. But then when it comes to the item itself, it won't replace the item because Koha only replaces items with the matching bib record. So those that don't have a matching bib record in my matching rule would be all the 946s. So, and again, maybe this is an acquisitions questions, and I'm going in a department where people aren't familiar with, and if so, I apologize. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
No apology
it's
necessary. Yeah, cataloging touches everything. So we're always happy to hear questions, to throw out ideas if we can, and if not, to guide you to perhaps acquisition specialists also, Bywater also.
Yeah, I do something like this when Medline records come out. It's usually EPUB before print and or non-indexed, and then a few months later the index ones come out. So I'm trying to keep the original record intact.
Yeah, and I kind of threw this out because Lauren had mentioned in the Marcedit, she had mentioned the append word, and my vendor was saying that, oh, most ILS systems have the ability to just append. And it appears that Koha does not have that ability. And so I'm wondering if a Marcedit may come in that I might be able to use it somehow, or
how about merging files in Marcedit and just merge the 952? Would that work?
I don't know. That's a good idea. So merge files and Marcedit, only the 952s.
And then I don't know if that, you might have to go back and delete all the 946s.
Again, something that Marcedit could help you with.
Easily.
Yes. Yeah, Marcedit is incredibly powerful. Also,
Yes.
depending on what version of Koha you're running, and since you're supported by Bywater, this would be a question for them. And also, by the way, any solutions you get from Bywater, if you would be comfortable sharing them back with us at a next meeting, I know people would be interested. The MARC modification templates in newer versions have gotten more and more powerful. So there may be ways to do that too.
Thank you.
Christy, I could show you what happens here at my library. We just set up the acquisitions module just a couple years ago, just like right before the pandemic hit. And I can show you what it looks like on my end. I'm not sure all the intricacies as far as what you were saying about matching and all that, but I can show you what it looks like if you want to take a look at it. Because I actually am cataloging some books that we just got in today that require me to like merge the records and merge the uploaded MARC records with the on order records, if you want to take a look.
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'd all be interested in that, Allie.
Okay, can y'all see my many tabs?
Yes.
Okay, so let me go. So our administrative assistant, she receives all of our
Right now we're seeing your email.
uh-oh. Thought I clicked on. Apologies for that.
No problem. Sometimes it's not clear which it's picking when you go to share screen, if it's the now we're seeing your Koha. Yeah.
Okay. So our administrative assistant, she receives the books and she uploads them into the acquisitions module. And so then I come in ready to catalog and scan whatever it is, and it comes up and it looks like this. That's the order record that Kelsey created, and this is the MARC record that I uploaded. So then I just click them, merge, and I want to select that MARC record and then click next. Merge, and then I can start editing. and then I can start editing the record. But that's what it's. Kelsey says she doesn't mind doing it because to me, it seems like it's extra work for her, as far as receiving them too. And then she's having to enter them into the acquisitions module, but it's helpful on my end too, because it'll have the pricing there. It'll have the purchase order, information there. So that's what it looks like for me. I'm not sure how to.
That's really helpful, Allie. I mean, yeah, it's some clicking, but it's so precise. You're getting that right record.
And the person who helped us set it up was Rhonda. I always feel like I want to pronounce her last name wrong, but it's Kuiper. She works at the Round Rock Public Library in Texas.
Mm-hmm. She's very active at koha-US.
Yes, she helped us get it set up, and we've been rolling with it ever since. So I just want to share that.
One thing about that merge function you were using, it only takes data from one of the two parent fields, parent records, obviously, but you can, if say you wanted to capture some of the data about the purchase, you can merge specific fields from the two different parent records. And that may be something you can find of value. Again, a lot of work.
But very precise.
More accurate than my fingers.
Well, thank you. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up? We have about 10 more minutes.
Oh, I guess I could post the link to a picture from Nichols. That's an example of something stored somewhere. And it looks like it's in the uploads place, but I don't know how to do that without being attached to a record. So maybe I'll figure that out by next month.
Nice.
It's from their main catalog page.
Ooh, plug time.
Yes,
So-
sure.
If you all haven't heard, the International Koha Conference is happening in Kansas this year in September. So be thinking about conference presentations, that sort of thing. I'm excited because I'm in Kansas. I can just drive up there. But it'll be a good time. We usually do roundtables or SIG meetings. We've gotten in the habit of doing SIG meetings within the conference. It will be hybrid, so if you can't make it in person, we'll still have that online participation option as well. So just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that.
I'll put the link in the chat. And this is a combined conference this year, koha-US and KohaCon?
Yep. So they didn't get any proposals for KohaCon this year, and we were already in the process of planning our koha-US conference, so we've decided to do sort of joint thing.
And if you wanted to become a member of koha-US, how could one do that, Jason?
It's so simple. You go to our website, you click on the thingy. What's the thingy, Lauren? You go to members and then join koha-US. And I can put that link in as well. Membership is $25, just a great bargain. And you get access to our membership roster. We're working on like skill collaborator groups. There's other perks. You get to vote on things if there are organizational decisions. Most of the money that's raised goes towards developments. And so the membership gets to vote on how we're spending our money on developments to improve Koha. So there's lots of benefits to joining.
Is there swag available? What if I wanted a t-shirt to show my koha-US pride and to support these developments and this wonderful Zoom channel that we use?
Why, yes, yes, there is. Our merchandise store is at Threadless. If you go to koha-US.threadless.com, you can see what we have available. There's swag from past conferences, some different designs you can wear. You can order your shirts ahead of the conference and promote and show us off there.
Is there going to be any swag available for 2022?
Eventually. Yeah, we'll have the logo theme and all that stuff kind of coming up in the coming months.
And are there any interesting places to visit in Lawrence?
Let's see. It is a college town. We've got Kansas University, which is home of the Jayhawks, the Fog Field House, birthplace of basketball, whatever. We are on the Great Plains, so lots of scenic byways. You will have to drive about an hour from the airport to Lawrence, so you'll get to see some of the Kansas countryside. There's a Wizard of Oz museum, if that's your thing. You could get to. That's not in Lawrence, it's in Wamego. I'm not
Leaving
an
out
expert.
the Grover Farm Museum.
There you go. See, I'm not an expert on Lawrence because I'm down south here. But
Neither am I, but one of my great something grandfathers ran it as a stop on the Underground Railroad.
yeah, so come here and check that out.
I'd like to. And the vice president of being more important than I am at work says we might be able to resume trips in FY23, which starts in July, which makes dividing records into, or have different records for fiscal year and calendar year in the author's catalog is not really tricky, but it's
one of the reasons we moved our fiscal year to the calendar year. Solved so many problems.
yeah, not really the problem. I just think, okay, what month, where, what?
I'm clicking and clicking to find the conference dates. It's in September, I believe.
20th through the 23rd.
Thank you so much.
I'm scheduled to be on another cruise ship. You've got to plan these things further out than my wife plans our cruises. She says from the next room, good luck with that. She's already working on 2024.
Well, I think we're just about at the top of the hour. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.